Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Politics and Media Show with me, Salma Yaqub. On the show today, we'll be discussing an important bill which was introduced to the House of Lords earlier this month, which would force Islamic courts operating in the UK to acknowledge the primacy of English law. The bill has been proposed by Lady Cox and is backed by women's rights groups. It's been drawn up because of what they say are deep concerns that Muslim women are suffering discrimination within closed sharia law councils. The bill wants to introduce a new offence of a 5-year jail sentence for anyone falsely claiming that sharia courts have jurisdiction over family or criminal courts. Now, sharia courts meet every week in the UK to rule on many issues, including divorce and financial disputes, and they say participation is voluntary, that women are not disadvantaged. Well, with me in the studio, I'm delighted to say that we have with us Sheikh Suhaib Hassan of the Islamic Sharia Council, which deals with many such cases. Welcome to the programme. We're also joined by Aina Khan, who specialises in Sharia law and is also a specialist in family law. Thank you and welcome to the programme. We did invite Baroness Cox and she had agreed that she wanted to participate, but unfortunately then had commitments abroad. Hopefully, perhaps another time, she'll be with us in the studio. If I can come to you first, it's been a pretty strong accusation there that Muslim women are somehow disadvantaged in Sharia courts. What's been the response of the Sharia Council to this?
The first thing I want to emphasize here, there is an Arabic saying which says, "Inna an-nasa a'da'un lima jahilu." People are normally enemy to things they are ignorant of. First of all, I want Lady Cox to visit Islamic Sharia Council and other councils in this country and to find out what the noble work these councils are doing, how these councils are helping the women. Why? 90% of our clients are women, because they are getting some advantage from the work of this council. This is why they are coming there. So to say that...
what kind of cases are, you're saying 90% of the people who come to you are actually women. What kind of cases are they bringing to you?
Of course, we deal with matrimonial cases. So it means that the women come for divorce cases, for khula cases, and we are not like any British court to decide for divorce right in the beginning. We always try to find out a way of reconciliation between the husband and the wife, because that is the Quranic injunction, which is known as arbitration, tahkim. So we want to patch up the differences between the man and the woman, and if they can do that, then they can go back as husband and wife. But if the differences are so enormous that they can't solve them, then of course this marriage has to come to an end. And the marriage is the Islamic marriage. We are not dealing with the civil aspect of the marriage at all. That is left to the British courts. This is why there is no reason to make a comparison between two of them. We are dealing with the religious side of the marriage.
Well, if I can come to you, Aina, some people may say, well, it's all very well saying that you're dealing with the religious side, but there are many women who are obviously in a vulnerable position, which is why they're coming to these places. And often they may not be aware, actually, that it's not within the jurisdiction of an Islamic court, that there are certain areas which have only got to be dealt with the English legal system. Do you think that clarity has been there enough?
I think it's clear to nearly everybody you'll meet that there's a completely different jurisdiction for Islamic Sharia councils. I have dealt with hundreds of cases in my working life. I specialize in family law, and in the last 15 years I've worked very closely with the Sharia councils for those Muslim clients of mine who want to have solutions under English law as well as Islamic law. Those women, and I agree with the Sheikh who says it's 90% of women who are the applicants, those women are desperate not to be chained wives, to have a divorce under Islamic law. And the Sheikh and others like him have worked so hard for over 30 years when the need first started in the community. Nobody looks at all the amazing work they're doing to support women and children, and I go further, to support men get their rights, to see their children, that we're very happy to jump on the bandwagon when it comes to criticism.
But would you understand that there may be some concern still? You're saying there's been a lot of good work, but do you see any grey area here that did need some examination?
First of all, I have never had any complaints from female clients about Sharia counsels. The complaints I've had are from men who've been very angry that the Sharia counsels have given a divorce when they were refusing to give a talaq. So the men are angry with the Sharia counsels, definitely. There are some schools of thought that say Sharia counsels should not be giving any decisions because Islamically only a qazi or an Islamic judge in an Islamic country can give that decision. That's a whole different argument. If we look at the consensus of opinion amongst Muslims in the UK, majority of Muslims want the Sharia councils here and have led to this demand by voting for it with their own phone calls and visits. It's not that they were given this service, it's a reaction to the demand. If there's a tiny percentage out there who's unhappy, I would like to meet them. So I challenge Baroness Cox to bring them to me. I'd like to know who it is who's unhappy, because it's my duty to help that woman get assistance immediately under English law, and to speak to the Sheikh and all his colleagues to say why was she treated badly. I have had complaints of delays, and I will say that that has happened. Delays can be a problem. The councils were charging, I think, £100 only till last year, and that doesn't pay for the admin, which is phenomenal. So once their fees are going up and now they're addressing the question of administration and delays, I think those complaints also will be addressed.
Okay, well, before we go any further, I'd like to introduce another guest who is joining us on the line, Faiza Waid, who is the chairperson of a grassroots group called Sister to Sister, based in Birmingham. She's researched Muslim family law and also the experiences of Muslim women within it. Assalamu alaikum, Faiza. Thank you and welcome to the programme. You've been listening in, I believe. What are your experiences of Muslim women in the UK and their experiences with Sharia councils?
I think it's fair to say that while not all the experiences of Muslim women are bad, what we need to recognize is that there is growing concern, particularly around grassroots women's organizations, that when Muslim women do go to Sharia councils, they may not get as fair or as just services as they should. And that's not jumping on a bandwagon of criticism. Rather, it's recognizing that the reality is that many women who do go to Sharia councils feel like their problems are not addressed in accordance with the Sharia.
Well, that's a pretty strong accusation. Are these women who you've talked to directly, or is this hearsay?
Yes, these are women that I've spoken to directly. Often what we found is that when women go to Sharia councils, there are non-legal issues which are presented. Things that the typical sort of phrase that they're told is to have sabr, be patient, and try and reconcile the marriage. Sometimes these women are in a marriage which is irreconcilable. So I heard the Sheikh, and of course, no Muslim woman wants her marriage to break down. But in the instances where she needs redress and the marriage is lawfully able to be, divorced, then the process shouldn't be made more difficult for her. And some of the women that I've spoken to have found that actually the experience of Sharia council is a very difficult one, often because the Sharia is not actually, being open to them in the way that it should be.
What would be your response to that? So they're saying that because almost the emphasis on the mediation aspect, these women are actually coming desperate, they know what they want, and they just want to get on with it, and there's these extra delays.
I want to pinpoint another thing, and that is we want to be just in our decisions, and justice demands verification of all the facts. Sometimes what happens that a woman provides us with an address of a man, and we write on that address, we write once, twice, thrice, and then the letter does come back to us, or sometimes they never reach that person. And in the end, once we have taken an oath, a solemn oath from the woman that this address was correct, we do give a decree of divorce. But after that, what happens? The man turns up and he says, this is not my address. I have left this address long ago. Why the woman has provided this wrong address?